beginning in the key of sitting. The shape keys, of which there are just 7, are all portals into movement in this shape. Sitting, the long human experience, lineage of sitting on the earth, is so powerful, so nourishing, so grounding and inviting. And so we're tuning in, as always. We're giving ourselves ample opportunity to drop down into the core, drop in, as we say. But it literally is, it can be experienced as a drop of what might be described as how the gravity center, which tends to be drawn up into the busy head and the chest and even the neck, drops down into its proper seat in the core, in the deep pelvis and belly. And this experience is very soothing. It helps invite the mind to rest and to just begin to observe. And so the sequence begins simply by leaning back a little bit and balancing on the sits bones. We're going to float the right leg forward and a little to our left, and then swing the right leg way out to the right as you dive to the left in the upper body into a push on the left hand, or maybe both hands if the left shoulder needs some assistance. You can hover the right leg off to the right. And then coming all the way up, we're going to turn a quarter turn to the right towards the right leg and lift up into a long squat. And from the squat, we'll transition to a hybrid side plank. So we'll set the left hand out to the left, giving ourselves some room. We're going to reach the left leg through, turning to our left, lift the hips, balancing on the left hand. The right foot still underneath for an assist. And then we turn to the sky, lay the right hand on the ground, balance, and then cross the left knee over the right knee. And so here again, just playing around for a moment as we set up the rest of the transition, turning to the right. So we're going to balance on the right hand, pivot on the ball of the left foot, and then unwrap the legs as you emerge from the turn and press the right leg as far back and up as you can. Maybe rebend and re-extend, hang the head, and then we coil, we bend, and we bring the right foot through to the front into a crouch. And the movement, always rhythmical, has this amazing medicinal capacity to release residual momentum. And we're going to start to stand up, and as you do so, continue to pulse forward and backwards, the longitudinal pulse, combining crouching and standing. We start to open the stance up and let the left foot hop and dance backwards until the feet are a leg's length or a little bit more apart. So if you know, like a warrior two or a side angle from yoga, we start to head into that stance. And we start to lean in. As we pulse forward, we lean in and over the right leg. I like to hover the back heel a little bit. Coming up again, opening the stance up a little more, bending the right knee, leaning in, lift the left hip. And one more time, coming up, backing up a little, and then re-lunging, leaning the torso in alignment with the back leg. And then we're going to go ahead and set the left hand out and forward, slide the left leg through again to that same hybrid side plank, and then walk the right foot out in front over the top. And set up plank, turning fully towards the deck. Now we're going to set up a little bit of a core phrase in the middle of this bigger phrase. So we move side to side. And what we want to do is shift our weight to the right and then cross the right knee to the left elbow, right knee to the right elbow, back to the left elbow, and step back to plank. Shift to your left, left knee to right elbow, to left elbow, to right elbow, and back to plank. Shift to the right, right knee crosses, then goes to the right, then back to the left, and then step to plank. Shift to the left, and then left knee to right elbow, right elbow, and plank. And then we're going to lift the hips and walk, dance, slowly transition from plank as we make our way towards the hands, lifting the kidneys, lifting the hips. Always playing, always so curious. We're going to set up an asymmetrical squat. So make sure the right foot is just in front and we'll drop down into the squat. Here in our transition in the squat, before we stand, we're going to pre-engage, gather ourselves, and go ahead and rise up. And then looking to our left, we're going to step the left foot out in front into a cat stance. Most of the weight is on the right leg. You really want to drop down through the sits bones. Try not to tuck the pelvis. Keep the pelvis more neutral in relation to the spine. Then stepping forward onto the left leg, begin to free balance. Balancing is a navigation key, something that we do all the time, standing, walking, moving around. But as a practice, you want to kind of see what's possible. Be awkward. Be so ready to try anything. Then we'll bring the right leg out in front of us, cross the midline, and just barely touch the right toes. And then arc the right leg clockwise all the way out to the right, way behind you, and then across the midline behind you. Turn the front leg a little to the right, and we're going to drop down into a crossing squat. And this is a transition to a seat, lowering the right knee to the ground, and then sitting between the feet in what you might recognize from yoga as cow face, Gomukhasana. And so we push the knees down into the ground. We really sink the legs with everything we have. This will usually bring the torso forward a bit. And as you lean into it, we're going to start to sweep the midline. So with a strong belly, strong body, really keeping the legs, the hips, the buttocks, the rotators on completely as we move across. And as we come out, we just simply untangle the legs and fall into the cross-legged seat with the left leg forward. I love these first sweet moments of the relative pause, feeling everything that's moving through us, all of the fantastic levels of subtle and micro and macro release, reorganization, feelings of flush, spaciousness, well-being, or perhaps intensity. How the patterns, our negative patterns, are brought to the surface through the movement. And so on the other side of the sequence, we're going to lean back and fly the left leg forward and a little to the right, and then swinging the left leg way out to the left as you dive in on your right side and push on the right hand, or maybe use the left hand too. Strong belly, pick up the kidneys, shoulder blades together. So good, so yummy. And we're going to rise up and look to the left, towards the left leg, setting the left heel down, and then lift yourself up into a long squat. And just rocking front to back, back to front. For the side plank, we're going to turn the right hand out a bit and set that right hand off to the side enough to slide the right leg forward, turning to the right, lifting the hips, the left foot assisting underneath. And then we'll turn towards the sky, land the left hand, balance on the hands on the left foot, and cross the right knee over the left knee. And just playing around here for a moment, setting up the continuation of this pivot. We're going to balance on the left hand, turning to our left, putting the ball of the right foot down. Let the legs unwind as you come 180 and extend the left leg back full on, reaching the left heel as far away from the top of your head space as you possibly can. Really reach. We're going to bring the left foot down in front of us into a crouch. The deliciousness of the pulsation. Not so much holding any one place. We pause often, but we move most of the time. And so we'll let the hands come off the ground as we continue to crouch and rise up towards standing, still moving front to back. And at this different angle, you can really see what's happening. As we start to walk that right leg, the back leg, further away from the front foot, opening our stance up, and then diving into that left knee a little bit and leaning into it, heading towards that side plank, side lunge. And notice how the right heel can float here. It's challenging for the balance. Unlocking the back knee, leaning in again, a little bit closer to the ground, coming up one more time, backing up, and then leaning in with a little bit longer stance, bending the left knee. And here we go. We're going to set the right hand down again and slide the right leg through, lifting the hips. Right? We're going to step over the top with the left foot and set up plank. So in plank, we set up our bilateral pulse, and you want to move the chest and the hips together across the midline a couple of times. And when you're ready, shifting to the left, you'll take your left knee to the right elbow, then the left elbow, and then back to the right elbow, and then to plank. Shift to the right, bring the right knee across, then to the right side, then back to the left side, and then to plank. Shift left, left knee to right elbow, then the left elbow, and then back to the right elbow, and then to plank. Shift to the right, and last time, right knee to left elbow, to right elbow, to left elbow, and to plank. And then we lift the hips and the kidneys, we bow the head in, and we tiptoe and dance towards the hands, the feet walking in, dancing in. We're playing around. We're always exploring while making sure that we're okay. We're releasing the momentum from things that we've already done. We'll have the left foot just in front. We drop down into an asymmetrical squat, gather ourselves, and then we're going to stand, pre-engage, pushing the ground down to rise. And looking to the right, we're going to open up into a cat stance, the right foot stepping forward. Again, most of the weight remaining on the back leg. Very playful, very powerful space here. Even if you don't know this from martial arts, there are many iterations of cat stance, but it's incredible for strengthening and toning the hips. Step forward onto the right leg, and we're going to balance. Anything goes, so all variations, guided, of course, by the universal truth of the joints and how the body's put together, the human shape, the human animal. But see what you can do. I'm going to bring the left foot across the midline in front, just the toes touching, and then arc the left leg way out to the left, counterclockwise, all the way back, and then across the midline behind us, turn the front leg a little to the left, and dropping down into the crossing squat, right over left. And then we'll lower the left knee down, use your hands if you need to, and sit between the feet. So it's the key of sitting with the knees stacked. We're pushing the knees down into the ground. The more you do that, the more engaged you'll be and the more sustainable you'll be in the hips. The pelvis is invited to lean forward, the spine following just a little bit, and letting the torso brush across the midline as we did on the other side. Every fiber of your being fantastically present, both engaged and also somehow soft and spacious because everything is in communication with everything else, and source, intramuscular, intracellular intelligence is naturally buoyant. As you come up, just simply uncross the legs, letting the right leg fall in front, having come full circle in the sequence now. And so we're just so fortunate to have these practices of conscious embodiment. The body being not just a fleshy thing separate from soul and spirit and energy, but an emergent expression of source like all of nature. All is one in the unified field. And so our gratitude is just inherent. It flows through you, healing and lifting. Deepest gratitude, so many blessings.